Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success. Are you wondering if 2021 is going to be any different than 2020? You're probably still feeling the effects of 2020 with economic setbacks, relationship setbacks, health setbacks, or even emotional setbacks. How can you go about approaching this new year without the looming possibilities of experiencing something much worse than you did in the previous year? A lot of people will find themselves stuck in the same way of thinking in 2020, and they will miss out on so many new opportunities of 2021. In order to take on 2021 with a new vision, with new optimism, we're going to have to learn how to grow forward instead of going backwards. Stay tuned for our new episode on the Purposeful Life Show.
Welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. If you're looking for the ideas that could be your breakthrough for change in your business, career, or personal life, then this podcast is for you. Join Adrian as he speaks on topics of personal and professional development for the person behind the business, and interviews a variety of entrepreneurs, business owners, and thought leaders to reveal their ideas and solutions to success and its challenges. Subscribe to the show and leave us a review. It's time to connect, learn, and grow.
Well, welcome back to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast, and I am your host, Adrian Starks, and let's get this started for a new 2021 year. Can we just say that we have made it through 2020 and we can give ourselves a big sigh of relief? 2020 was a perplexing year for all of us, and everyone had their own challenges. We're going to talk today about growing forward into 2021 and not going backwards into 2020, as many will find themselves doing from time to time. Before we get started today, I want you to go to connectnowpodcast.com to download this podcast onto your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you push that notification bell so that you are notified when the next episodes come up, which will be weekly. Hasn't 2020 been a roller coaster ride for everyone? Whether you were impacted financially, emotionally, health-wise, or socially, and for some it's been all the above, you have found that 2020 was a year of unexpected changes and challenges for yourself. So what next now that we're in 2021? What should we expect? Well, here's the key word here, expect. We should change that word to what do we intend on 2021? 2021 is just 4 numbers. And what I always say is this, those 4 numbers will not change your life. It is your perception toward those 4 numbers that will. If you're going to spend your 2021 looking at it the same as you did 2020, well, you're going to get the same results you did in 2020 if you're not careful about that. So what do I mean by growing forward? Well, there's a difference between growing forward and going forward. When you're going forward in life, you're just going, and whatever comes in front of you, you deal with it as you can, and hopefully nothing pops up in front of you out of nowhere, and if it does, you freak out, as most people will do. When you grow forward in life, you are preparing yourself for the things that are going to come towards you because you know that you're going to have some challenges, and challenges are good for us. Think about the word challenge. Inside that word challenge is the word change. And also inside the word challenge is the word call. So in actuality, challenges are a call to change something about ourselves in relation to our world and the things around it. And we're going to continue to have challenges throughout 2021. They will not stop. The problem that we all face is that we don't want to experience what we did in 2020. The pain of financial setbacks, emotional setbacks, relationship setbacks, and even health setbacks. No one wants that for themselves, and I certainly don't want it for you. But we cannot evade change. Change is a way of life. And we're going to talk today about what happens when we try to go backwards instead of growing forwards. And I'm excited to share with you a story of why going backwards does not work for you and why growing forward will. Why is it important for you to take this knowledge in for your business and your personal life? Well, as this year progresses on, you're going to get excited about the fact that we do have things that are moving into a better direction, but they won't happen so fast. You're going to find yourself looking back into 2019, hoping that you could start 2020 over again. And it will not work that way. That's called insanity, and that will only drive you even more crazy than some of you probably are right now. Nature has a lot to teach us about the flow of life, and I'm always intrigued by what it has to show us. In my ebook called Finding Your Inner Champion, and I'll make sure to put the link to that book in the notes section of this podcast, make sure that when you're done listening with this, you go and download that because there's a lot of powerful tools that I provide to help you deal with changes and challenges that will come up this year as well. In this book, I talk about the salmon species of Chinook, steelhead, coho, and chum, who travel backwards during the fall season to make their way to the beginning where they all started, just to spawn. Sounds simple enough, right? But unfortunately, they all die after they reach their destination to spawn because of the sheer exhaustion of going against the river in the opposite direction for so long. The key here was that they were driven by genetic code and instinct to do this. After this arduous journey of going against the rivers, the currents of life, and I'll come back to that phrase, the currents of life, they wiped themselves out and off the face of the planet. The good thing for us is that we don't have to go backwards exhausting ourselves to death because we have more than genetic code and instinct guiding us. We have this brain that has evolved over time that allows us to make better choices and decisions. This is what I mean when we grow forward. As we experience the challenges of life, we don't have to relive those things over and over again. We can actually learn from those heartaches, those pains, those frustrations, those fears, those stresses, and we can use all of that experience to move forward into a better way of seeing our world because we know now what we have overcome, and we know now that there are more things down the road that will challenge us that we are prepared for because we have gone through the gauntlet. The salmon species made a huge sacrifice to go backwards against the currents of life because that river was going one way and they were going the other way. It was unnatural, but they had to in order to spawn, which makes their journey purposeful. As for the human being, you going backwards into 2019 hoping that you could start over again is not purposeful. That won't do your business or you any good. Wishing that things will get better, wishing that things will change toward you, won't do you any good. Back to that phrase, the currents of life. The currents of life have already moved into 2021. That river of life is not going backwards into 2019 or 2020. So it's no need of trying to relive that past. I understand if your feelings are still there and you're still feeling some of the financial setbacks or even the emotional setbacks, but it doesn't mean you have to set backwards in time to be there physically. You have to be in the present moment now and decide this year, be intentional about it, of how you want that 2021 to look. This is what I mean by growing forward. Speaking of rivers, there was a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus, and during his time he was considered quite strange because he believed in the change and flux of life. While everyone was going around talking about permanence and how things stay the same, he was saying that the universe, the world around you, is constantly changing, so therefore we have to change. In his famous quote, he said that no man or woman steps into the same river twice because They are not the same man and woman, and it is not the same river. That's quite profound, right? And some of the greatest philosophers of his time disagreed with him. Well, we've all experienced now in 2021 that change is inevitable. And we get stuck. We get frustrated when we refuse to accept changes and be willing to step into our own change. So let's not waste any more of our resourceful brain power by chasing phantoms of the past. 2020 is over. It was a perplexing and daunting year for everyone, but it is not 2020. You shouldn't step backwards into the rivers of 2020. You see, that river in 2020 was rapid. It was freezing. And when you stepped in it, you felt like you were going to fall over and drown, but you held yourself up somehow. As you were walking, you felt pebbles going in between your toes, irritating you to the point where you wanted to reach down and grab them, but you couldn't because the rivers were moving so fast. That's how problems were for people in 2020. When they were trying to address one thing, something else popped up. But look at you now. You made it out of that river, and now you're stepping into a new river of 2021. This river is fresh. It smells like clean air. The water feels nice and cool, and although you can't see the bottom, it feels much smoother than 2020. That's the intention I want you to have for 2021. You must visualize something much different than 2020. We all must remember that the past occurrence of any given situation can never be reborn or exist with the present, but only exist in the mind. What's in your mind now for 2021? Let me give you a few things here for you to take with you. First, remember that this year is not the same as last year. Second, make sure you set plans for yourself this year. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go? What new things would you like to learn? What new skill would you like to build? And third, pick a power word for the year. Pick something that is positive. Pick something that is meaningful. Pick something that is intentional. Examples could be abundance, prosperity, love, joy, opportunity, and the list goes on. It's a new year, and it's also a new you. Claim it, because you went through way too much in 2020 to not get the fruits of labor of this year. It's time for you to grow forward and not go backwards.
Thank you for listening to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. Subscribe to the show and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Learn more about us by visiting our website at cnbn.ca. Go to connectnowpodcast.com to be inspired by more life-changing content. Let's connect, learn, and grow.